So you want to know how to get sponsored. Well, the truth is, if you're asking this question, or if you're saying, like, why can't I get a sponsor? How do I get a sponsor? If you look on FGC Twitter, man, you see it all the time, right? Like, man, I'm a free agent. This guy's a free agent. Pick him up, guys. He's criminally unsponsored. You hear that all the time. You see it all the time, and it's awful. It's the worst shit on earth. It's one of my pet peeves. And I wouldn't have felt so strongly about it before as much as I do now because of the experiences that I've had working in the industry. And the thing is, let me break this down for you as best I can on what you can do and maybe some things for you to consider when you make this kind of campaign, right? But the first thing is, if you're running around saying, why can't I get a sponsor? I want a sponsor. You've already messed up. And I'll tell you why. This is kind of, I think, a point that's going to elude a lot of people in the fighting game space because it sounds super nitpicky or super semantic, I guess. But actually, it's a big issue that we have, and that's the language. You don't want a sponsor. That's not what you're looking for. That's not what you mean when you say that. You're looking for a team or an organization to join. I'll put it this way. If you don't know what the difference is, look at some of your favorite teams, look at some of your favorite orgs, look at their apparel, their jerseys. The logos that you see represented on their gear and what they wear, those companies are sponsors for the team or the org. They don't sponsor you. You don't sponsor the player. You're looking for a team. You're looking for an organization. Sponsor, I think, implies a different kind of relationship that most teams and orgs are not. They don't want to be referred to that way or to be categorized that way. It's a completely different nuance to the relationship. That's something that for fighting game players, a lot of y'all are going to be like, oh, here's Obama, barking at the moon again or whatever. I wouldn't make that a point if I didn't know multiple people from high levels who have talked to me about this. Like, how do we change the language that the fighting game community uses? I know how tough that is because, I used to say it too, We've all been saying it for years now, just like, I need a sponsor. That's not correct. You shouldn't say that. It looks bad and it sounds bad. It sounds unappealing. So that's your first mistake. Second mistake. Stuff like this, like criminally unsponsored players, blah, 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 blah. Hey guys, how often do you see the tweet, hey guys, I'm a free agent, here's my email, stuff like that, right? For a lot of things in real life, in games, whatever, you have to look around. How many teams, organizations do you see jumping into some of these games? But there's not that many. If you're sitting in a room of 100 people, and 2 people get called up for something, and there's 98 other people in the room like, hey, pick me, I'm a free agent, pick me. But there's nobody else coming to get anybody out the room? Or like, who are you yelling at? Who are you saying that to? My point is this. Please contact me. I'm a free agent. Here's my email. Bro, first of all, if you're one of the people at the level, like, where that matters, they're going to contact you, okay? But if you have to post that, it's probably pointless. You know what I mean? Instead of putting your email out there and saying, hey, I'm a free agent, waiting for offers. That's the complete wrong mentality. Well, if you want a job, what are you just gonna sit? Will you sit at home? You put a little sign in the window? I'm unemployed, looking for a job. That's not how that works. You go out there and you sell yourself, man. Shoot your fucking shot. Your tweet about contact me, I'm a free agent, that doesn't do shit for you or me, man. That's nothing. Shoot your fucking shot. Question. How many of y'all have a deck? How many of y'all even know what a deck is? You know what I'm talking about? No, I'm not talking about a 6-page resume on how you won the local 8-man tournament 2 months. Bro, cut that shit down to a few pages. Talk about relevant shit. Make a deck. Before you make the decision or you want to try to seek out that kind of relationship, those kinds of contracts, or try to even present yourself as looking for those kinds of opportunities, I have some questions. And these are questions that all you guys should be asking yourselves. You should be trying to have serious answers, and these are things that you have to consider. And just for example, given the variety of monetization structures that a lot of teams have, what kind of value do you bring to that brand? What kind of visibility, what kind of reach are you bringing to this team? Does the game that you play, does it have a lot of people who stream the game? Do a lot of people watch big events for the game? Are you talking about 200? Are you talking about 2,000? Are you talking about 20,000 on a regular basis? Is it spread out over several forms of media, or is it concentrated on just a couple and thus, probably has bigger numbers on those? What's the expected lifespan of the games that you're trying to, sell yourself on? Are we talking about a 2-year game? Are we talking about a 4-year game, 6-year game? You have to understand that generally they want people who can represent and bring value to their brand. And look, from person to person, you gotta understand when I'm talking to you like this, I'm not talking to you as I would like one-on-one, right? This is a different tone, different kind of conversation. I don't see people as a number on Twitter, but you have to understand that when you put a different kind of lens on this stuff, and you start to look at this through business and through reach perspective, the way a lot of people are going to look at you and the way a lot of people are going to refer to you and your value, right? They're going to look at that through your reach, through your range. You know, how many followers do you have on Twitter? YouTube subs, Twitch following, Twitch viewership. If you don't have super standout results in, big platform games like that, that's the way that a lot of those people are going to be kind of weighing your reach. That said, I think what a lot of you guys also have to recognize is the thing is this, especially in recent years, there's been this conversation of like the bubble, right? There's so much conversation about like questionable viewership findings, ad revenue findings, results and metrics of underperforming franchise leagues. It sort of poisons the well. You've seen numerous team collapses, scandals, all that kind of stuff. And what I want to recommend is, if you're really interested in hearing a lot about this on a macro level, I think this is a really good video. I think his name's Devin Nash. I'm gonna put a link to it in the description. Give it a listen if you have some time, because he's pretty smart. He, obviously really well connected in this space, and he brings up a lot of good points, and he talks at length where he sees kind of the global market for this stuff and where it's going. And he also actually even mentions the fighting game community at some point, which is pretty interesting, because for us, a relevant point of discussion is that we're in the midst kind of right now of a market correction in regards to all of this esports discussion, right? Echo Fox for a long time it seemed like they were doing really well, right? They were paying out players. There were some players that were getting pretty handsomely rewarded. I'll put it that way. I'm happy for them that they were able to get, rewarded for how good they are and what they bring to the table. The problem is their collapse, and the nature of their collapse is the here and after, right? Some of those players that were getting very, very high pay, all of a sudden the organization that was paying them that can't pay them that anymore. And if you look laterally, for the same value that some of those players were making, that could fund whole teams for some other games. But from the perspectives of those players, do you just all of a sudden buckle? You just go back down? Maybe some of them maybe they don't necessarily need to sign to a team immediately. They're good and just kind of hold out. They're holding their price or whatever, right? One of the good things about it is that, this is referenced in that video, our community isn't super heavily esports invested, to the point where if there is some kind of market correction that happens, right, a bubble burst, if you will, we wouldn't be super affected in that regard compared to maybe some other games. The thing is, a big part of the combo now especially is there's been shifts towards more influencer style and content creation being favored over maybe even some players in some cases, right? These individuals with much stronger reach, it ends up being competitive, and it ends up being comparable to supporting an entire team that may or may not get the big win at the end or get on stage and blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. And you have to be aware of that. If you really want to have this conversation, just you playing the game in this era is not the be-all end-all. That's not all that matters anymore. So the things that I've been saying for a while now, and the truth of the matter is 2020, man, this coronavirus stuff is no joke. I mean, if you don't think that this is going to be something that people are going to have to deal with for the next year to 18 months, you just haven't been paying attention, dude. Straight up. You just have not been paying attention. And so for that matter, I think the timing actually is kind of good for me to be able to bring up this conversation again. It's something that, a lot of people have been talking about recently in the past week or so. And that's shifting towards player influencer style model. In the past 2 to 3 years, a lot more players, if you've noticed, have started doing a lot more content, trying to develop more YouTube and streaming more. This kind of model where you are a player, but then there's also the you as a content creator, being able to cut that and expand your media presence across multiple media platforms such as Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Being able to do that is big for being able to not only create more revenue streams for yourself, but to also help develop yourself as a brand. And that is something that is valuable. The other inherent value there is that by developing multiple revenue streams for yourself, you help to create a more independent environment for yourself as a player. You know, valuable in other ways as well, but then also that's important for you. All of a sudden, you're not as desperate for that sponsor, and it's not, you shouldn't expect an immediate return. I think a lot of people make the mistake of, you know, they put something out there, they try something, and it doesn't get Maximilian or Eris numbers, and they're defeated, they quit. You know, this isn't working, I didn't get anything out of it. Did a lot of work and I only made 30 something cents. Yeah, I mean, you can't have that attitude. A lot of this stuff takes time to develop. A lot of it takes time to build up. You know, sometimes some people get lucky. That's the truth of it. You know, the thing that you have to realize is, yeah, it is work. You do have to build at it. You have to keep at it. Remain consistent. You can kind of go from there. Case in point, you can see a lot of players have been able to go this route. Going back to that first point, you help develop the ecosystem for your game. Remember, one of the core questions that a lot of people are going to have is, you know, like, okay, what games do you play? Oh, I play Aquaposa. Oh, really? Who watches that? Do a lot of people watch it? Do a lot of people play it? No, but I'm the best. Yeah, but like, just watching it. What are the numbers? What are the metrics looking like for it? How do you fix that? How do you solve that? If you want to play Aquaposa, make some content for it. If that's one of the issues, you can help contribute to a positive solution to it, while also being able to try to, you know, address some of those issues that we talked about already as well, right? Being able to expand your reach, develop a brand. All of these qualities are inherently more engaging and appetizing to potential partners and brands and teams, orgs for that matter, than being solely a player. I kind of, the whole point was I wanted to talk a little bit about something that I see on a regular basis now that, in my opinion, doesn't really go anywhere, and nobody's really talking about solutions and or maybe constructive advice on how some of those people can get what they're looking for from players that you know. What is your favorite kind of content? You know, be it videos or whatever. What kind of stuff do you like to watch? What kind of stuff do you like to, I guess, see your favorite players or even personalities produce? What kind of stuff do you like to see them putting out there? I think because that's more valuable, because maybe it can give people an idea of maybe what kind of stuff to try to shoot for. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below.